Welcome, everybody, to Ask the Professor. I am your host, Professor Ben, and we get together live every Wednesday at 11:45 Eastern to talk about all things business, influence, sales, leadership, all the trials and tribulations that we have as we are growing our business and growing our career. And we are joined by our producer, Ari. Ari, thank you for making it all come together. And we're flying solo today because we're talking about DISC, which is probably the hottest topic, I think, or one of the hottest topics that we talk about on this show. So, Ari, thanks for putting everything together. And are you ready to jump in?
Of course, I'm always ready to talk about this.
You are always ready, which is great. So, in our last episode together, we focusing on DISC and really how it combines and works with the 5 dysfunctions of a team. For those of you that have read Patrick Lencioni's book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, there's a lot of connection to who are my teammates, how do they communicate, how do we build trust together, and DISC is probably one of the best tools to be able to do that with your team. So, Ari, where can they find that previous episode? Or I think it was 2 episodes where we've been digging into this. Where can those who haven't seen it yet find those recordings?
Yeah, you can find those on our website at mybenchmarktraining.com/resources/asktheprofessor. And you can also find a tons of development tools, videos, and other good stuff on our website as well.
Heck yeah, great shameless plug, Ari. Thank you for that. That's great. And maybe also I'm going to put you on the spot again. For those that are not familiar with DISC, let's go through maybe a little cheat code for them. There we go. Yeah, on what we're talking about when we say DISC assessment.
I love this cheat sheet. It helps me every time I'm talking to someone. I always refer back to this. So I'll start off with the top section. These are our task-oriented people. So our C styles, they're going to want to see the data. They love that details. The more logical and analytical you can get, the more they're going to like you. Our D styles, our D styles, kind of the same way, but give them the overview. They don't want the details, but they do love that logic and results. So when you're talking to a D style, focus on those 2 things. You can hear
You're nailing it. You're nailing it, Ari. You know exactly where to go. But there's more, and they're just as important as C and D. Keep going.
Yeah. So we got the people side oriented people styles. We have the show me you care. Those are their S styles. They want to make sure they have the best for the team. The team is harmonizing. Everything is going well. So showing that you care and that you can add value to that harmony, that's definitely going to get them to connect with you. And our I styles, they love to be involved. They can get that energy and enthusiasm within the project. So a great way to build rapport with those I styles is to just involve them.
Heck yeah. You know what? Leave this on the screen for a second here, because those of you that are watching, take a screenshot right now. This is such a great cheat sheet to, kind of like Ari mentioned, just prep for conversations, help identify who it is that you're talking to. So take that screenshot now and hang on to that in your phone. That is totally worthwhile. Let's also go to another visual too, because we've been going through the 5 pillars of effective teams, again, adapted from the 5 dysfunctions of a team. And we've spent some time here just building the foundation. And that foundation starts with vulnerable trust. This is so important. So leaders, as you're trying to, you're prepping for 2026, there's bigger goals than 2025, more things ahead that are going to try to stop us. There always are every year, right? Bigger goals, more challenges and obstacles. If you're not building vulnerable trust with your team, those obstacles only get harder. They're more difficult to overcome when everybody is tiptoeing around, walking on eggshells, because they don't know if their team members have their back, right? That's psychological safety that we have to build in a team. We don't get it outside of the team. We don't get it when we walk outside our front door. So as a leader, we have to make sure that we're building that for our team, first and foremost. Because if you don't have that, it's going to be very difficult for your team to go to the next step, which is embracing healthy conflict. If they are not willing to raise their hand and say, "Ooh, I don't know if that's right," or, "Hey, I made a mistake. I got to kind of, own up on that." If they're trying to just avoid those types of healthy conflict situations, you get just a passive group, ones that are not willing to put their neck out there and not willing to have those difficult conversations internally up front, right? So we have to be able to do that. And today we're going to dig into clarify and commit. And if those leaders that have a challenge here, it's okay, it happens, right? I know you're looking at this going, yeah, my team says yes, right? Or they kind of nod their head. And then when the deadline comes around, we haven't won, we haven't completed anything, right? Or we haven't completed it at the level that we need to be at. And that's where that clarifying commit requirement that comes from our team has to be built. And we do that by building those first two foundational steps. So let's dig into a little more with clarifying commit. And again, if you missed those episodes, Ari told you where you can find them so that you can go back and talk a little more about vulnerable trust as well as embracing healthy conflict. Really important. So thank you for that screen change there. So clarifying through DISC. All right, I'm going to jump in here and I'm going to stick with the C and D style just because it's a little more comfortable for me, right? That's me. That's my style. That DC. All the styles are good. We need all the styles on the team. Thank goodness we have them here at Benchmark. Just, I feel comfortable with those. So we're going to dig into those a little bit more. So let's start with the C style. So how do I clarify with a C style? C styles want to be accurate. So if you have C styles on your team, analytical team members, accuracy is very important for them. And they don't feel like they can do that if you're not giving them the details. And I'd also add even the time in order to be accurate, right? So if you want to make sure that you're getting the C's on your team all on the same page, data, information, and just a little bit of time, and they're going to come back to you with some accuracy, right? Which is good. We need that on the team. For D styles, what are the results? What is the end goal? What are we trying to achieve? I'll take it from here, right? So D style is thinking. So if we want to make sure that D styles are clarified, let's make sure that they are aware of what success looks like at the bottom line. Okay. Now we'll talk about that more because there's some blanks we got to fill in for the D styles, because before you finish giving them the instructions, they're already up and running and moving to the next step. That's a great thing in some cases, but if they miss important information, that can be harmful. So we got to be careful for that. Ari, walk us through S and I style, if you would.
All right. So to clarify for an S style is to provide that consistent step-by-step details. They want to make sure they're moving through the process properly. So if you got any SOPs out there or a handbook, those definitely come in handy. So they have some sort of reference to go to make sure they're on the right track. For the I styles, let them share their ideas so that they can add clarity. They're kind of in their own world. When they share their ideas and how they see the task of the project, they're gaining more clarity on how to approach it.
All of that's so important. Okay. Again, we're not covering blind spots here. We're covering what are their strengths, what's going to get them more engaged as we're rolling out 2026 or rolling out a big project. All of that makes total sense. Also, how do we gain commitment from them? So going to a different visual here, let's talk again about C styles. Outline specifics, right? Give them the milestones, give them the metrics, let them know what accuracy is going to look like. Okay. And in fact, we've all heard that saying, like, pull your team together and explain to them what does success look like. It's a great phrase. It's a great clarification point as leaders, as sales professionals, when you're working with customers and prospects. Be very clear. What does success look like? Now, if we were to bring that down a layer, that's a great phrase for D styles. Right? What is how do they contribute to the success? What does success look like? What's the end result? That's going to get the D styles to perk up maybe a little bit more than the others. So for C styles, let's talk to them about what accuracy looks like, right? This is what getting it right. If we're starting a new project, we want to gain their commitment on that project, ask them that question, right? Make sure we're all on the same page. What does accuracy look like? At the end of this project, knowing that it is right and accurate, how do we get there? And they're going to perk up
Yep.
and really connect with you on that. So, yes, asking your whole team what does success look like, being very clear on that, great talking points for the team. When you're getting one-on-one with your team members, start to break it down for their communication style. That's going to engage them a little bit more. All right, what are your thoughts here for S and I style?
Yeah. For C styles, it's what does accuracy look like? For S styles, it's what does harmony look like? When
Yes.
you're all contributing to this, what does harmony look like? And for the I styles, how will the team be recognized by these? So to continue on and going further into gaining commitment through DISC for the S styles can sometimes be people pleasers and show what they think the other person wants. But when you create an environment where it's safe, again, Ben, we go back to vulnerable trust for them to be vulnerable and share their ideas. Maybe that's a little out of the box or doesn't follow in line with the talk track that we have going on for this project, but it's overall going to benefit the whole team as a whole. It's beautiful. So when you foster an environment where they feel valued and can provide for the team and build on that harmony, you're going to get some great commitment and great results from your S team style or your S styles team members. For our I styles, so again, how will the team be recognized by this? They want the team to succeed. They want them to win and be enthusiastic and optimistic about the end goal. And with that, they can get distracted with the pretty objects along the way. So keeping them engaged with regular check-ins and those regular check-ins, talk about their wins, set some milestones. That's going to keep them focused and encouraged to finish the project through.
I love that. I want to go back to what you said about what does harmony look like for S styles, right? And that applies in so many scenarios. And I'm thinking of a worst case scenario. If you have an S style team member and maybe some of their direct reports are not performing where they need to perform. And so they need to issue a performance improvement plan, or even tougher, let somebody go on the team, right? A worst nightmare for an S-style leader. It's important for them to make a clear connection that harmony on the team means that our player that's not pulling their weight has to be let go, right? So when you ask what does harmony look like, that can even cover a really difficult situation like the one I just shared, where an S-style says, okay, I get it. This person isn't pulling their weight. They can't be on the team. And that's the move I have to make in order to maintain the harmony for the big picture, for the full team, and just connects with them right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So awesome. So I think we've got some watching our audience questions coming in here as well. So do we have audience questions that we should dig into before you keep moving?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
I love this one. So I have a team member that is great at brainstorming and gets excited about a new project, but they often overcommit and drop the ball when it comes to follow through. What can I do to get their focus and commitment to complete the project fully?
Ooh, okay. That is real. Ari, are you thinking the same thing I'm thinking here? And the team member they're talking about probably has dominant I style somewhere there. And there's a couple of clues, right? So great at brainstorming, right? Not just like, hey, I have a team member and we were brainstorming the other day, but I have a team member who's really great at brainstorming and gets probably not just themselves excited, but the whole team excited about brainstorming on those projects. And they're overcommitting and balls are getting dropped, right? So again, anyone can do that, but probably some I style tendencies there. So how do we keep the I styles, maybe with some guardrails, right? Keep them focused on the follow through. And I think the first and most important thing to understand is every disc style has superpowers.
Yes.
And those superpowers are going to be valuable on your team. So let's appreciate those superpowers. I'm not saying we're not going to address the blind spots because we all have those too, but let's appreciate the superpowers. So if we have an I style on their team, then I'm going to go under the assumption that they're doing some great things on the team, that they're connecting with customers and maybe just the outside world really well. They're representing your company really well, and we need them on the team. Okay, so if that's true for this person's question here, then we can go to the next step, which is, hey, they do all these great things, but they are also dropping the ball. So it's important for leadership or peer-to-peer accountability for us to cover each other's blind spots.
Yeah.
If somebody's overcommitting, if you're seeing a pattern of overcommitting, ask that person about their commitments. Hey, we've got a deadline date to complete this project in 2 weeks. What else do you have in 2 weeks? What else is on your plate that we need to maybe push aside or talk through or have a plan for, right? Because they're not going to be thinking about that because they're so energetic and they're bringing the energy and the charisma to the team, which is why we love them. So the other obligations they have in the back of their mind, they're not worried about those right now. If they were, they wouldn't have that same energy, right? They'd be C-style, thinking about all this and being drained while they're doing it.
That is so true.
Oh, so true. So help them walk through his blind spots. What other commitments do you have in this timeline? Asking them about how they're going to push away other shiny objects that are going to come at them, right? Bring that front and center. Hey, this is obviously really important. If we're going to be recognized, Ari, right, pulling out what you said earlier, if we're going to be recognized and win here, then it's important that you don't get pulled into any other projects. So how are you going to do that? Okay, walk them through those blind spots. And you also mentioned, Ari, regular check-ins just a few minutes ago with those I styles. So we've talked about this in other shows. Regular check-ins with D styles, that might grate their nerves. Regular check-ins with I style, they're going to love to tell you what's been going on and talk about their shiny objects. No qualms there. They're ready for those regular check-ins. And that's good because they need them, because they are getting distracted, right? Not probably getting distracted. They are getting distracted. So those regular check-ins so that we can hit the milestones along the way for the project. Hopefully that helps answer that question. Ari, anything that we should add to that, or do we have any more questions?
We do have more questions, but I do want to add in on those check-ins. Let's keep them focused. Let them share their wins, but also add in what they're going to be focusing on for the next day, the next 2 days, the next 3 days, so that they have a game plan and they're not just focusing, okay, I checked it. This is great and wonderful. I'm going to go find the next shiny object. Make them identify and say, these are my next action items.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. There's two things on there, Ari, that were just so golden. One is what you just said, keeping them there on track. Okay. So every I style, it's an absolute must for every I style, is have your written journal with you everywhere you go. Write down what's been going on, your hot items for the day, for the week. An I style with a journal is going to get things done. I style without a journal, you should feel a little bit concerned. So that's a great rule of thumb there. And also you mentioned celebrate the wins. I styles thrive on that. And that's one of their great superpowers. So even if you're a C style boss or D style boss, you want to just kind of keep things moving, take that time to celebrate the wins, because that re-energizes your I style team members and reminds them that if they stay focused, there's a celebration at the end. That's the best language for them.
Oh, I love that. Yes. D and C styles, it's not natural for them to say, let's take a moment and say we did good. They're like, okay, box is checked. What's the next thing that we've got to do? But also S styles are going to appreciate that little moment of recognition and approval that they've gotten for completing the box. So S style team members also need that little good job, bud.
Absolutely. And we need them all, right? We need them all. So those D style strengths that come into the team, the C style strengths, let's just remember the blind spots. Great points, Ari.
Do we have time to go into another question?
Ooh, we are pushing the envelope like we always do. Why do we always do this? I don't know. We are just crazy like that. But Ari, if you would, let's go through one more and then we will wrap it up. And hopefully we can answer this question for somebody else that's coming in here.
Ooh, I love this because we are here to help. I'm having a hard time putting my team members into those DISC buckets. What are the 10 giveaways I should be looking for? Like, what are the top 2 or 3 cues that scream their style.
Oh, okay. Maybe we should have pushed this one off because this is going to take a minute. But let's at least touch on it so we can help them, and then we'll start back up at our next episode with this for sure.
Wow.
Do we have a visual? There's a visual that we use a lot for, or kind of. Oh, here we go. Okay, you got it. So one of the first things that we need to do is assess who it is that we're observing, assess what they're talking about, and try to break it down really into just 2 points. So think of an x-axis and a y-axis, similar to what we have here on the screen. On the x-axis, we have reserved communicators. You might think of them as like introverted, okay? On the other side of the x-axis, we have active communicators. Maybe you think of them as extroverted communicators. This is pretty easy to identify. Is somebody holding back? Are they quiet? Or are you seeing their body language move and they are always ready to jump in and speak? You're going to notice that most people fall on one side or the other throughout your interaction with them, okay? Now, on the y-axis here, you're going to see this task orientation, right? So looking for checking boxes or for checking data, right? As you'll see that on the task side. On the other side of the continuum on that y-axis is a people orientation. So how's the team doing? What's the harmony like? We've talked about that. What's the energy or the vibe like? Right, so you'll see that. So those are pretty easy. If you break it down, forget all 4 for now. As you're observing your team, it should be pretty easy to put them into one of these 2 categories. Are they reserved or active? Do they focus more on task or they focus more on people? Now, Ari, knowing the time, let's do this. Let's pick back up on our next episode where you and I are flying solo and we're digging into DISC. And we could spend the whole 20 minutes on how to observe and assess your team members. And then the most important part is how to respond after you've made that observation and that assessment. Is that a good place to stop, Ari?
Yes, that is going to be an exciting episode because once you know how to identify different styles, it's going to change the way you operate, how you talk to people, how you see TV, how social media. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. We've gone through this with hundreds and hundreds, even a little over 1,000 clients for DISC. And one of the most common things we get is, I wish I knew this earlier. And sometimes more specific, like before I got married, when I was raising my kids, right? A lot of earlier scenarios that they wish they had this information, because to your point, Ari, it applies to everything, right? You will not see the people in the world around you the same once you start to understand these human behavioral types and these communication styles. So exciting episode ahead. Cannot wait to pull people in and dig in further into DISC, how to assess it, and how to respond. Awesome. So with that, let's hit the music and we'll get out of here, back to the real world. We'll see everybody next Wednesday right here on this platform, whether it's LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. We want to see you. We want to see your questions. So reach out to us and send your questions in. We'll do our best to get to them. And we'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone.